from Faith Forward Media, this is Healthcare Musings. I'm Dr. Hassaballa. All right, welcome to Healthcare Musings, everyone. Happy to have you with me. All right, so this week it's Nurses Week, and so in commemoration of Nurses Week, I am going to tell the story of when I was nurse for a day. Now, when I put the teaser on TikTok, a lot of people thought I was doing bedside nursing, like in the ICU or something. And there's an issue about scope of care, right? I'm a licensed physician. It's beyond my scope to take over a shift as a nurse at the bedside. I don't think any hospital would allow me to do that. And based on my experience, I don't blame them for never allowing me to do that. This is the story. But for telemedicine, a Tele-ICU, maybe, because it's not bedside nurses where I'm interacting with actual patients. So I worked at a Tele-ICU, a bunker-style Tele-ICU for more than 10 years. And there was one night where one of the Tele-ICU nurses called in or didn't show up, or they were short. And so they asked, hey, do you mind filling in tonight as a Tele-ICU nurse? And it'll really help out. And I said, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, as a Tele-ICU doctor, right, we're covering dozens and dozens of beds, and we're doing interventions and monitoring vital signs. So I figured, it can't be as hard as that. It can't be harder than that, right? And so I was happy to help, and so I did it, and I was terrible. I didn't realize how much the Tele-ICU nurse did. It's overwhelming. There were so many things, and I just couldn't keep up. And it really hit home of how bad a Tele-ICU nurse I was when I gave report to the next nurse, right? So he comes on, he's very nice. He's like, so did you do this? And I was like, no, I didn't do that. So then he's like, oh, well, how about this? Did you follow up on that? Did you check these things? Oh, no, I didn't do that either. And then he's like, did you do this? No. Everything. And you can just see in his face the disappointment. You can feel it in his voice. But he's very nice. And I wonder if the other nurses are like, oh my God, this guy didn't do anything. And I can't even imagine what he was saying about me afterwards. And that just hit home that I am a horrible Tele-ICU nurse. And so there's no way that I could even fathom being a bedside nurse. And what happened, and this was a long time ago, now more recently, it further solidified how I would be a horrific nurse, and I am a horrific nurse. So, I was on a plane coming home from a business trip, and, ladies and gentlemen, is there a doctor on the plane? And I had written about this on my blog. And so I rose my hand. Yeah, I'm a doctor. And so they brought me to this patient, this fellow passenger. He was pale, he was white, and not responsive, and sweaty. And I'm like, oh my God, is this guy having a heart attack? Is he having low blood sugar? Is he doing? I don't know. And I'm trying to think of, okay, what happens if he has cardiac arrest? What am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to put him? And that's all going through my head, right? And then I realized, like, oh my God, I don't even know how to check a blood sugar. Like, how much? I don't even know how to do it. And then they give you this kit, right? And they has IV supplies and blood sugar supplies and medications and IV bags. And I'm just like, I don't even know how to check a blood sugar. I never have to do that. And then I'm like, I don't even know how to put an IV. Like, what am I supposed to do? I don't even know how to put. I can put a central line, but they don't have central line kits on the plane. I don't know how to put an IV. The nurses always do that, but I'm telling you, thank God, there was a nurse from the University of Pennsylvania, Penn, who happened to be on the plane. She came and helped, and she was a lifesaver. She checked his blood sugar, and we were able to work together to help him, and he perked up. I think he was hypoglycemic. He had low blood sugar. And so those two stories just show that I am a horrible nurse. There's no way that any hospital should trust me to care for patients at the bedside. And that says that as a nurse, at least, take care of patients at the bedside as a nurse. And that just further confirms why we should celebrate nursing and our nursing colleagues. I mean, it is true, and I say it all the time, that There is no care in healthcare without nurses. They are at the center of what we do for the patient, and it's 100% true. And they're there all the time with the patient. They're the eyes and ears of the healthcare team. You ignore the nurse's gut at your peril and at the patient's peril. The nurses they are just so critical to what we do in healthcare, and we really couldn't do anything without them. And that's why they definitely deserve to be celebrated. They definitely deserve to be commemorated, and a week is really not enough. I always joke, like, we get a day as doctors, but nurses get a week. Oh, nurses deserve a month, to be quite honest, not just a week, for all that they do. And I still remember, and I still will never cease to be amazed and in awe of seeing nurses, especially early on in the pandemic, who went to the bedside when the family's on the iPad screaming they can't be there because we're blocking family to visit, and the patient's dying, and the nurse is there holding the patient's hand so that they don't die alone. I saw that over and over during the pandemic, and I'm still in awe and still grateful for what they did, putting their own lives at risk and the lives of their families at risk, especially early on with that fresh virus that was killing people left and right? And it was before the vaccine. So, really hats off to every single nurse all around the world for everything that they do. We can't do anything without them. It really pains me every time I see nurses leave the bedside to do something else, and I can't necessarily blame them. It depends on their career path or whatever. The pandemic really pushed a lot of nurses out of the field, and that's terrible, and it's a terrible tragedy. So, my experiences of trying to be a tele-ICU nurse and then trying to be, not being able to check blood sugar. And after, when I came back from the plane trip, I came to my team. I'm like, guys, I need to know how to do blood sugars. Please teach me. I have to learn how to put an IV. And I told them the story about the plane, and thank God for the ICU nurse who came and helped me. There is no care in healthcare without nurses. They are crucial, a critical part of our team, and I'm forever grateful for everything that they do for the healthcare team and for the patient, first and foremost. Thanks so much, guys, for your time and attention, and until next time, Hassaballa signing off on Healthcare Musings. Thank you for listening. Sign up at healthcaremusings.com to get every episode delivered directly to your email, and please don't forget to leave a 5-star review. Thank you so much.